Happy anniversary to the greatest trade in Boston Celtics history, where Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce were traded to the Brooklyn Nets for the draft picks that eventually would end up becoming Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Everybody knows how amazing this trade was for the Celtics and how terrible it was for the Nets, but in this video I want to go over every single player that was involved in this trade, so without further ado, let's get started. Let's start with the Brooklyn Nets side of things, where they got a combined 206 games of Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Jason Terry, and DJ White, and a second-round playoff exit to the Miami Heat in 2014. Now let's move on to the Celtics side of things, and let's start with Keith Bogans, who played 6 games for the Celtics before being traded. Marshawn Brooks would play 10 games for the Celtics before being cut. Chris Humphries would play 69 games for the Celtics in 2014. Chris Joseph would play 6 games for the Celtics before being cut. And Gerald Wallace would be the longest tenured Celtic in this trade, as he would play 90 games for the Celtics over the course of 2 seasons. So now let's move on to the draft picks, as the Celtics had the Brooklyn Nets 2014 first-round pick, and they selected James Young, who was pretty much a bust for the Celtics. The next draft pick was the 2016 first-round pick that the Brooklyn Nets gave to the Celtics, and they would select Jaylen Brown, who obviously became Finals MVP and an NBA champion. The next draft pick was a 2017 first-round pick swap from the Brooklyn Nets, and this is where things get kind of crazy. So the Boston Celtics were the first seed in 2016. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they had the 27th overall pick. However, with the pick swap, the Celtics would swap with the Nets and get the first overall pick in the 2017 draft. The Boston Celtics would then trade the number 1 overall pick to the Philadelphia 76ers for the 3rd overall pick and a 2019 first-round pick from the Kings, and the Philadelphia 76ers would select Markelle Fultz with the number 1 overall pick, and obviously he was a bust for them. And of course, we all know the Boston Celtics would take Jason Tatum with the 3rd overall pick, NBA champion, one of the best players in the NBA. If you want to know what happened to that 2019 first-round pick that the Celtics got in this trade, they would end up taking Romeo Langford. And then the Celtics would trade Romeo Langford to the San Antonio Spurs, and they would receive Derek White. Also, if you wanted to know who the Brooklyn Nets took with the 27th overall pick in 2017, that was Kyle Kuzma, who they would end up trading to the Los Angeles Lakers. Sorry about that long detour about the 2017 first-round pick, but we have to go on another detour about the 2018 first-round pick, as it would be included along with Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, and Ante Zizic to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving would play 127 games with the Celtics over the course of 2 seasons and then leave in free agency. And with the 2018 first-round pick, the Cleveland Cavaliers would select Colin Sexton, and if you want to know a funny detour about Colin Sexton, Sexton would eventually be involved in the deal that ended up getting Donovan Mitchell to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Celtics would also send the Nets a second-round pick that would end up becoming Sasha Vezenkov, who just came over to the NBA last year to play with the Sacramento Kings and is now on the Toronto Raptors. But yeah, that was every player involved in the Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce trade. Over the years, you can say that the Boston Celtics ended up with Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and maybe even Derek White. But the most important thing the Celtics received out of this trade was the 2024 NBA championship, and that is the greatest thing that the Boston Celtics would receive from the Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce trade.